Hi, I'm Nate Wakeford, your masculinity and mindset coach. Today I'm going to be talking about healthy masculine examples. Now, what's interesting, just recently, I started to see some videos of older pickup artists. These are your Tyler Durdens, these are your mysteries, these type of people. And what interests me is when you look at these men now, are they the type of men that represent the pinnacle of masculinity? Are they the type of men that represent the man that you wish to become? See, so many of these men, their very foundations were based on seeking validation, and they weren't men of substance. They weren't men who aspired to create a healthy family. They weren't men who aspired to create genuine devotional connections with the feminine. It was very much an extractive approach to validating their own self-worth because they had not yet developed true esteem. They were reliant upon strategies. It was performative masculinity. And so much of that is being exposed. And it's interesting to see them come back. Some of these men are now talking about masculine frame, but I don't think they have a strong foundation in masculine frame. Some are in the process of developing it, but for many of them, they're still a long way short. They're still very much externally referenced. Now, this is a foundation that I had knowledge that I did not get until very late in my masculine development journey, where despite having done a good 16, 17 years of masculinity work, I didn't truly, at my very core, acknowledge my own power. I still was externally referenced. I was still seeking validation from the feminine. And it was only through deep heartbreak that I broke through that. And this is often where you'll see some men begin to make the transition to truly developing an internal reference. And the reason for that is once what you're seeking externally, once you believe that you have it and then it's taken away from you, you're faced with pain. But to rebuild yourself back up, you have to come back to yourself. You have to come back to the awareness that what you're seeking externally was always going to fail to fully fulfill you because you had placed the power of that fulfillment outside of yourself. And you'd need to recognize and remember that that thing that you're seeking is always found within. This is the very foundation of developing the masculine frame, is the awareness that what you're seeking externally has to be discovered and acknowledged within for you to experience it in any sustainable way in any relationship. So, men being logical and strategic creatures, once we realize the journey is developing self-love, developing a relationship with yourself, that all this seeking external for validation, approval, acceptance will never give you the fruits that you're seeking in your endeavors. Coming back to the examples of pickup artists, there was some early men, I think Eben Pagan being one of them, that taught the notion of becoming a high-value man as a strategy for being appealing to the opposite sex. The idea of developing yourself in your esteem. And I support that. But again, it's very much about whether or not you develop the internal frame of reference and the internal authority, if you hold yourself to be a man of honor and integrity, of noble virtue. So, as a man on the path, as a young man to developing himself in his maturity, it's important to take good examples. Examples that bring you towards a highest alignment. Those examples, the ones which, in my experience, the ones that develop you into a well-rounded and noble character. Those are the ones that help you to develop yourself into being a great man in the context of how you would relate to the feminine, to become a great father, a great community leader, someone who aspires to raise the well-being of both himself and the people around him, someone that does not seek to extract, diminish, or be performative to try and fulfill his needs at the expense of others. These are not good examples. And some of the things that we're seeing in society reflect that. Men who engage and support OnlyFans models, for me, are not the type of men that you want to model yourself on. Because They're based on this lack of nobility, this lack of noble virtue, this lack of honor. These are not the type of women that you'd be proud to take home to your mum. And so much of what I reflect to the values, what they now call traditional values, relate to what it is to be good. That we are now living in a demoralized culture where what's accepted and tolerated as expression is actually that which is based in shame and diminishes us. What is honorable has to be restored. So we hold ourselves to high esteem. Because when we do things that inherently we know are not something we would be proud of, actions that would cause us to love ourselves less, we're actually pushing away our own fulfillment, our own happiness. Because we do have a conscience. And if we're real with ourselves, when we engage in behaviors where we love ourselves less, subconsciously we're judging ourselves. We know that our actions are not in our best good. And regardless if they're supported or accepted in society, it doesn't bring us to a high level of happiness. And this includes, paying for OnlyFans and these sort of things. The honorable man becomes a strong man and he attracts an amazing woman. The weaker man just pays to get his needs met, but he's being taken advantage of. He's having his money extracted. And this is this extractive way that both sexes could improve on, The idea of this transactional relationship rather than a relationship which is fulfilling and nurturing, rather than one that creates true intimacy and depth, rather than one that is a growth container for both of you, that you evolve and you become, better examples for the generations to come. This is what I would be wishing for the type of example that I wish to live as a man, as a leader in my community, and the one that I would want to pass on to my son. So you might want to consider to what extent you are living in an honorable way, in divine right alignment for your highest good and well-being, in a way that will truly create fulfillment, will truly create a sense of satisfaction, of service, of contribution. And it's not going to be extractive. It's going to be when you acknowledge your abundant nature and you give the gift that you are to others. Now, I'll probably butcher this quote, but I really believe that, the objective of life is to discover your gifts, discover the unique value that you bring to the world, and then share it. It's not going to come from trying to take from others and deny your own gifts and diminish yourself by being just a resource that can be traded. Anyway, I hope this has been useful. If it has been, please like, subscribe, and share this video. And join the Sovereign Brotherhood. The details are in the captions below. And I can also support you in your journey. I offer one-to-one coaching to men that are on the path who wish to create themselves into extraordinary men of service that can redirect society for the greater well-being of all. Thanks so much for watching. I look forward to seeing you in the next video.